Captain Olivia Carter moved through the airport terminal with the kind of confidence only years in the cockpit could give. She was respected, sharp, and known for her strict professionalism. Her crew admired her efficiency, even if some found her tough exterior intimidating. Her job was simple: get people from one place to another safely. She didn't care about their names, their backgrounds, just that they followed the rules. As she stepped onto the plane, she ran through her usual routine: pre-flight checks, crew briefing, a quick scan of passengers settling into their seats. It was just another flight, or so she thought. In seat 3A, near first class, sat a woman who caught Olivia's attention. Tall, poised, and effortlessly elegant, she sat by the window, lost in thought. Her smooth dark skin glowed under the cabin lights, and her sleek designer outfit hinted at wealth, but there was no arrogance in her posture. She didn't flash her status, she simply carried it. Olivia glanced at her name on the flight manifest. Lena Morgan. It didn't ring a bell. As the final boarding call wrapped up, Olivia did one last pass through the cabin. That's when she noticed it. Seatbelt unfastened. She stopped beside Lena, her voice sharp. "Ma'am, the seatbelt sign has been on for a while. I need you to fasten it immediately." Lena blinked, pulled from her thoughts. "Oh, of course," she murmured, quickly reaching for the belt. But Olivia wasn't done. "Next time, I expect you to follow instructions the first time. We're about to take off, and safety isn't optional," she added, her tone firm. Passengers nearby turned their heads. The tension in the air thickened. Lena's hand stilled over the seatbelt buckle. She lifted her gaze to Olivia, her expression unreadable. There was no defiance, no anger, just a slow, measured calm that unnerved the captain. She fastened the belt without another word. Olivia held her gaze a moment longer, then turned on her heel, dismissing the woman entirely. She had no idea that in less than 24 hours, her life and career would change forever. As the plane climbed higher into the sky, Lena sat quietly, gazing out the window. She wasn't angry, not yet. She had dealt with people like Captain Carter before, people who judged her before knowing her, people who spoke down to her because they assumed things about her. But that didn't mean it didn't sting. She reached into her purse, pulled out her phone, and typed a short message to her father. "Dad, I just had an unpleasant encounter with the captain on my flight. She treated me like a problem. Not what she said, but how she said it." She hit send and sighed, rubbing her temple. She knew her father well. Victor Morgan wasn't just the CEO of Skyglide Airlines. He was a man who built everything from the ground up. A man who valued respect above all else. And he would not take this lightly. Across the city, in a high-rise office with a view of the skyline, Victor Morgan read the message. Twice. His jaw tightened, his hands forming fists on his desk. He had worked too hard, sacrificed too much, for his daughter to be treated like she didn't belong, especially on a plane he owned. His voice was cold as he turned to his assistant. "Get me the head of operations. Now." Back on the plane, Olivia Carter continued her routine. She moved through the cabin, checking on passengers, giving polite smiles, feeling in control. But something felt off. She noticed that Lena hadn't spoken to her again, that the woman had simply gone back to gazing out the window, as if Olivia no longer existed. That should have been a good thing, so why did it bother her? She shook off the feeling. Passengers came and went. She had a job to do. But as the hours passed, the tension in the air thickened. Was it just in her head? Or was something shifting around her? The plane touched down in Miami, and as the passengers gathered their belongings, Olivia stood near the exit, giving her usual professional nods. "Thank you for flying with us." She saw Lena approaching. She expected her to walk past without a word. But Lena stopped. She turned to face Olivia, her voice smooth but firm. "Captain?" Something about the way she said it made Olivia's stomach tighten. "Do you know who I am?" Lena asked, her dark eyes locked onto Olivia's. The way she spoke, so calm, so in control, sent a chill down Olivia's spine. This wasn't just some passenger. Should I? Olivia asked carefully. Lena let out a faint smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. No, I didn't expect you to. She paused, then added, My name is Lena Morgan. My father is Victor Morgan. He owns this airline. Silence. A wave of realization crashed over Olivia. Her breath caught. She felt every second of their earlier exchange replaying in her mind. The sharpness in her tone, the way she dismissed Lena as if she was just another passenger, the condescending way she spoke. And now, the woman standing in front of her had the power to end her career with a single phone call. Olivia swallowed hard, trying to keep her face neutral. Miss Morgan, if I offended you... Lena raised a hand, stopping her. I don't need an apology, she said. What I need is for you to understand something. The murmurs of passengers moving past them felt distant. It was just the two of them now. You assumed things about me today. You looked at me and made a judgment, not because of protocol, not because of safety, but because you thought I was someone you could talk down to. Olivia had no response. That's a problem. Lena didn't yell, she didn't raise her voice, but her words cut through Olivia's defenses like a blade. I'll be speaking with management, Lena continued, not to punish you, but to make sure this becomes a lesson. For you, for others like you, because respect isn't optional. Then, with the same quiet, effortless power, Lena walked away, leaving Olivia standing there, frozen, her world tilting around her. That night, as Olivia entered her hotel room, her phone buzzed, a message from her manager. Urgent complaint received from corporate regarding a VIP passenger on Flight 472. You're expected at headquarters tomorrow morning. Her hands shook. She hadn't just made a mistake, she had jeopardized everything. For years, Olivia had operated on instinct. Authority first, no nonsense. Follow the rules. But today, she had crossed a line, and now she would have to face the consequences. The next morning, Olivia sat in the waiting room of Skyglide Airline's corporate office. Her heart pounded in her chest. She had spent her life building this career, and now one moment of arrogance might cost her everything. The door opened. A voice called her in. She stood, her hands clenched at her sides. No matter what happened next, she knew one thing. She would never make this mistake again. In her hotel room, Lena sipped a cup of tea, reading the email from her father. Dad, I don't want her fired. I want her to learn. Make this an opportunity for growth, for her and everyone else in your company. Victor Morgan sat in his office, staring at his phone, admiration in his eyes. His daughter had power, but more importantly, she had wisdom. And today, that wisdom had changed someone's life. With a nod, he picked up the phone. Let's talk about how we move forward.